state routing protocol. Okay, so in a link state routing protocol, here you could see here each node has the entire topology, like A having an entire topology, how all other nodes are connected, right? Like how the link is connected up or down, what is the cost, right? All this information, every node maintained in a table. Okay, this is a routing table, and in a routing table, every node is maintaining this information, the information about the complete topology, right? And after getting this information, how the all the nodes are connected, or we can say the topology information, then each node apply the Dijkstra algorithm and find out the shortest path from a root node to all other node. Okay, so we'll see how it works. So initially, as we have discussed in distance vector routing protocol, initially every node knows about itself and its immediate neighbor, right? So similarly, just sorry. So first step is what? LS, link state knowledge. So like in our distance vector routing protocol, each node knows about itself and the immediate neighbor. Similarly, in link state routing protocol, each node know about itself and its immediate neighbor. So every node having a partial knowledge, not a complete knowledge. Every node don't know about the complete topology. He knows about only himself as well as the nearest immediate neighbor. Okay. So each node having a partial knowledge. So based on that, the complete topology is formed. But how the topology is created by the partial knowledge? So the first step is what? Like in distance vector routing protocol, the first step is initialization, second one is sharing, and third one is updation. So similarly, in link state routing protocol, the three steps are there. That is, first one is initialization. So initial. So this is the initial step. Start with the partial knowledge. And second step is sharing. So here the name is different. The name is building a routing table or the flooding. Okay. Building a routing a table. So based on the initial knowledge, actually the routing table is created. How the routing table is created? Each node having a partial knowledge, every node creates a LSP, link state packet. So in the links state packet, the information is added, like how the links are connected, how many nodes information they have, and this link state packet disseminated among the all the node, and this process is called a flooding. Okay, so here every node is disseminating whatever the partial knowledge he has to all another node, and based on that, the every node is updating is their information, because they are getting all about the other node information, and based on that topology is created, and after the topology is formed, the shortest path find out based on Dijkstra algorithm. Okay, so here, as we have seen in distance vector routing protocol, whenever there is a change or after certain period of time, they share information. Similarly, here also, whenever there is a change, or normally 60 minutes or 2 hours, every node share his information with all the other node. Okay, so in detail you will learn in your theory lecture, but again here I will discuss with you how the shortest path is formed once the topology is created. Even there are many rules how actually each node has to identify this information, whatever the LSP is received, that is a new one or the old one, because the same information, because A D is known to A because D is immediate neighbor of A. So A is sharing the information about D, but the C got the information from the A, and again the C is also sharing the information about D, but the B knows A is the immediate neighbor of D, so accordingly he consider for the A. So all these kind of rules are there. You will learn how they identify it is old LSP or new LSP, and based on finally they create a topology. Okay, so how actually the shortest path find out? So here the algorithm is given, like set a route to a local node and move into a tentative list. Okay, so first node is added into a tentative list, and then among node in a tentative list, move the one with the shortest path with the in the permanent list. So after that, if the two nodes are there who having a shortest path, that node will move into the permanent list. Then add each unprocessed neighbor of last moved node to a tentative list if not already there. Okay, so here you can properly understand. Initially, A is the first node, so it is added in a list, in tentative list. Obviously, this is the only node, so you cannot compare with another node. So that node will be added into the permanent list. So this node A is moved into the permanent list, and whatever the immediate neighbors are there, which are added into the tentative list. So for the A, which are the immediate neighbor, D, C, and B are the immediate neighbor. So this D, C, B added into a tentative list. Okay. So after that, we'll check which node having a shortest distance. So here, if you can easily recognize which node having a shortest distance, 5, 3, and 2. So 2. So C having a shortest distance. So what we will do, we will move this C into the permanent list, and what if the new immediate neighbor is there, which is not in the list, that node will be added into a tentative list. Okay. So this C is moved into the permanent list, and the immediate neighbor is E. So E is added into a tentative list. Again, what we will do? Again, we will check the shortest distance for all the node. So here 5, 6, 3. So the shortest one is a D. So D is added into the permanent list, and we'll check any neighbor is there. No, not any neighbor is connected with the D. So again, the two nodes are there in a tentative list. So which one having a shortest distance? So 5 having a shortest distance. So 5 is added into a permanent list. Okay. So after that, how many node in a tentative list? Only one, that is E. So finally, move E into a permanent list, and tentative list is empty now. So see here how route A to all other node, the shortest path find out by using Dijkstra algorithm. Similarly, so this topology information node A store in his routing table. Similarly, from B, so B node we make it as a root node, and from B to all other node we apply Dijkstra algorithm. So every node is using Dijkstra algorithm to find out shortest path from root node to all other leaf node. Okay, so this is a Dijkstra algorithm, and based on this, a link state routing protocol works. So how actually they update the information? So now finally we got this topology. Now how node A store this information? So here is the table like A, B, C, D, E. So A is node itself, so 0. B, now here you could see the B, the distance is 5. C 2, D 3. So B 5, C 2, and D 3. The next router is not there because which are directly connected, but E. So for the E, the next router is C, and total distance is what? 4 plus 2, that is 6. So this 6 information is added, and the next router is C. So in this way, each node update their routing table. Okay, so by this way, actually each node having a topology. So based on this protocol, link state routing protocol, as we discussed, whenever there is a change or after every 60 minutes or 2 hours, each node share their information by using LSP, link state packet. Okay. So based on this concept, OSPF protocol is developed. Open shortest path first. So why the name is open shortest path first? As we have seen in by using the Dijkstra algorithm, we have find out the shortest path from each node to all other leaf nodes. So we'll see about the OSPF, which is a popular intra-domain routing protocol based on link state routing, right? So it is based on link state routing protocol. To handle efficiently and in timely manner, OSPF divides an autonomous system into an area. So this is a one autonomous system. Inside a one autonomous system is divided into a multiple area. Okay, so this one autonomous system for the for to handle this routing information efficiently, first OSPF divide one autonomous system into a multiple area, and the area is a collection of network, hosts, and routers all contained within an autonomous system. So you will find this all the areas are within a one autonomous system. See here, it is one autonomous system, and this area 1, area 2, area 3, it is in one autonomous system. And this autonomous system can also be divided in many different areas. Here you will find there is an area border gateway and a backbone router virtual link. So this all the multiple area you can connect with the border gateway and the backbone routers. Okay, and through the virtual link. So actually, how actually suppose if you graphically if you want to represent, how we can represent, how we use a stubs, point-to-point link metric, you will learn in your theory lecture how we can graphically represent. Now we'll simulate this OSPF protocol on Cisco Packet Tracer. Okay. So this Cisco Packet Tracer tool visible to you? Do acknowledge in chat box. Okay, thank you, Tejas. Now, what we will do, we will choose two end devices and two switches. Okay. And two generic router. Okay. Then we will make a connection. Whenever you are making a connection, you remember to make connection from down bottom to top. Actually, I am making one area only, and I'm giving assignment to you to make design this OSPF protocol for multiple area. Okay, so IP addresses 192.168.1.2. This IP address for this computer, for this router 192.168.1.3, right? And for this link 192.168.3.2. Okay, and for this link 192.168.3.3. Okay, and this router 192.168.2.3. Okay, these IP addresses we will assign, and for this computer 192.168.2.2. Okay, now we'll assign IP addresses. So IP configuration for this computer, what is IP address we have assigned? 192.168.1.2, right? The mask value and default gateway. Default gateway means if the packet, your packet is going into the network, it has to pass through this router, right? So what is the address of this router? This address of this router is this 192.168.1.3, right? So this address you have to provide. Like in our college also, in default gateway, always you will find Cisco packet tracer router, right? Similarly, I will update for this computer. So desktop IP config, IP address 192.168.2.2, right? Subnet mask and default gateway. So 192.168.2.3, right? In this way, this computer also configured. Now this router, right? So here actually, if you see, if you are rotating on this dot, you will come to know it is connected with 00 and it is connected with 20, right? So 00. So if you config fast Ethernet 00, right? So this link, right? And the IP address that we have assigned for this link 192.168.1.3, right? And remember to on this port status, right? Okay, so you turn it on, and this is serial 20, right? So serial 20, and see, as soon as you turn it on, this red became green. Okay, so don't forget to turn it on. Then 192.168.3.2, okay, and then again turn it on. So task completed, right? Then this side, okay, config fast Ethernet 00. Okay, so this link is 00. Let me check, otherwise it 00, right? And it is 20. So config 0 0, and here this link address is this 192.168.2.3, and then CL20. This is this link. So IP address is 192.168.3.3. Right? Turn it on. Then simply we will close. And so if you pass your, see, it transferred successfully. Okay, it failed. Why? We have made mistake somewhere, I think. Fast Ethernet 2.3 160 and CL20 3.3. Okay, now it's successful. See, from this computer to this computer router connection is successful. This router connection is successful. But if you send packet from this computer to this computer, it failed. Why? Because this router know about this computer and this router know about this computer, but he don't know about each other. So what we have to do, we have to configure the protocol here on both the router, like OSPF. So both the router, because of OSPF protocol, they share their information with LSP, right? Link state packet with each other, and this computer, this router get the information about this computer or the laptop connected at this side. Similarly, this router will get the information about the this whatever the devices are connected at this side, and this router will get the information about whatever devices are connected at this side. Okay, so we'll create one area here. Okay, so this is area 1. Now note down how actually we can configure both the router. So simply click here on this router and move to the CLI. Okay, and after that you have to type exit here. Many times you have to type 4 times exit, right? Okay, at router, this 3 times you have to enter exit, and then you will move to this router. So instead of hash, you should see the greater than symbol, so that you will come to know you reach to a correct place. Then first we have to enable a router. So type enable here, enter. Then we have to configure terminal. So configure terminal, and then we have to configure route OSPF. So we have to configure our router for the OSPF protocol, and then I am providing number 1, router OSPF 1, and then we have to provide the network information. So network 192.168.1.0, and then we have to provide wildcard mask. Wildcard mask is like your subnet mask, only the difference is like in your subnet mask 255.255.255.0 we use, but here in wildcard mask we simply enter 0.0.0 to 55. So you will come to know when you will understand in theory lecture. If you could not understand, you can ask me later. I will explain you once your unit number 1 is over. So area 1. Unit number after 3 is over, because that time most of the concept will be clear. Okay, so then 192.168.3.0. So both the link as well as the wildcard mask value 0.0.0.255, and then area 1, okay, and then you have to exit. After exit, you can close it. Then you need to configure second router. So click on CLI, and then you click on here exit. Second time exit, third time exit, and then you enter. So you will reach here, then enable, then configure terminal, then we configure for OSPF. So router OSPF, the number is 1, and then network 192.168.2.0, wildcard mask value 0.0.0.255. Area 1 name we have given, so area 1. Similarly, network 192.168.3.0, 0.0.0.255, wildcard mask value area 1, and then exit. Now here, if you can easily understand why actually I have put it these values. See here, for this router 192.168.2.0, so whatever the addresses are there, all are we have covered based on this wildcard mask value. And then at the another link 192.168.3.3, so whatever 0 to 255, whatever the addresses are there, all the addresses we have covered here by putting 3.0 and the wildcard mask value. So in this way, both the addresses we have provided, and we have configured for the OSPF protocol. So the three things that we have done here, we have configured for the OSPF, as well as we have provided network information. So each router having a partial knowledge, then both the router, what the router will do, they share their information on each other and they update their table. And now this time, if you are sending your information from this computer to this computer, it will transmit it. Earlier, it was not possible, but this time it is transmitted successfully. Right? I hope all you could understand what is the purpose of OSPF protocol. Now, I have created here one area. Now you have an assignment. you create a 2-3 area, and similarly you have to configure your router. Okay, so I hope all you have note down the important thing, right? So hash exit, 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 and then enter, and then you have to write enable, after that configure terminal, after that network, and then 192.168.1.0 as well as wildcard 0.0.0.255, and then area 1. Okay, so this, in this way you have to then 3.0 and then exit. Okay, so remember all these steps. So you can take a screenshot of this information is required for the OSPF configuration. You can easily uh, configure your router for the OSPF protocol, and you can easily simulate the network. So remember to create one more area and simulate OSPF protocol for the 2-3 area, and you can given a name like one autonomous system for the multiple area. Thank you very much. If you have doubt, you can